My name is Sam. I'm from Thalassaemia and Sickle Cell Australia. And today, I'm joined by Ellie from Lifeblood, Julia from Haemophilia Foundation, Robin from Tasca as well. And we're here today to celebrate National Blood Donor Week. And we're going to be hearing a bit about the lived experience from patients and families who are receiving blood products. And we'll also learn a little bit about how Lifeblood works from Ellie. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Ellie for her to talk a little bit about Lifeblood and the work that they've been doing through this period.
Great, thanks Sam, and thank you for hosting this event. National Blood Donor Week kicked off actually on World Donor Day, which was Sunday. And you've probably seen a fair bit of activity around the place. We've had buildings lighting up in Tassie. In red, we've had a fair bit of social media happening and regional television coverage, and also some media, digital and newspaper media. It's a really important week for us at Lifeblood because it's an opportunity for us to thank our donors who volunteer their time freely to help Australians in need. This year, obviously, is a little bit different for us. Normally, we would be hosting National Blood Donor Week milestone events where we invite our milestone donors. Last year, we held a couple of events in Victoria at the MCG, which was fantastic. It was an opportunity to recognise those donors, share a cup of tea and a scone, and listen to some wonderful stories from recipients as well. Obviously, this is different and we're here, so that's great. I've got my cup of tea, got my Billy the Blood Drop, and what I thought I would do is I would just share a little bit of a presentation. So just bear with me and I will share my screen.
Yep, as Ellie gets ready, just to remind everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Zoom chat if you're on Zoom, or ask them on Facebook, and we'll get through them as we go.
Okay. All right. So yes, National Blood Donor Week. You can see there 1.5, just around 1.5 million donations were given in 2019, crossing over to 2020. As I said, it's an opportunity for us to thank our donors, but it's also a chance to look back and sort of break it down and see what the actual impact was for us at Lifeblood. So it's always held in June. This year was 14th to the 20th of June. As I said, we had around 1.5 million donors that made donations in the last 12 months. So whether people have donated once or they've donated 750 times, I know it sounds incredible, but we do have people that achieve those milestones, like Paul Jenkins. It's, every donation is incredibly precious. There might be some of you out there in the audience that are donors yourself, so thank you. This is to thank you as well. If you did achieve a milestone this year, a special shout out. Oh, hang on a second, sorry. I just need to go back. Okay. Now, for some reason, my screen has gone very strange. It doesn't have all the icons on there, but that's okay. It's a different view. That's all right. So despite the worst cold and flu season on record, so we had the bushfires, we had obviously the coronavirus that has shut us down in autumn. The generosity of Australians that donated meant that we were able to keep demand. So I did have some nice little pictures there that you can't see, but that's okay. Oh, here they are. So we had just over 490,000 Australians that voluntarily gave blood, plasma or platelets. We had just over 103,000 new blood donors. And we had just under, as I said before, 1.5 million individuals that donated blood. So if you have a look at a snapshot of Australia, Victoria accounted for about 26% of that, which is pretty incredible. and around about 29% of new donors. So just over 29,000 people donated for the first time. Interestingly, 490,000 pies were eaten, and that's a pretty big pie there. So I don't know what sort of pie that. We don't have pies that big. And we had around 560,000 sausage rolls consumed. They're the most popular. To give us a total of 696 whole blood donations. And then, as you can see, plasma donations are slightly higher than that, which is really our focus at Lifeblood, is the plasma donations. And of course, everyone's favourite, around about 460,000 biscuits were consumed. So who are the beneficiaries of these donations? You may have seen this before. A lot of people don't realise that only 2% is for trauma, including road accidents, and an incredible 34% for cancer and blood diseases. I thought that you guys would probably have already seen this video, but I thought it would be worthwhile to share again. I'm not sure if everybody has seen it. This year we asked people from around Australia to share their story, and we had an overwhelming response. We actually had Peter, who was included in the video as well, which was great. And this video really sums up the importance of Lifeblood and what we do every day. So if we've got time, I'll share this, Sam. It's only very quick.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Well, sound might be an issue.
Sorry, I'm not hearing the sound, Sam.
Yeah, that's all right. I think, I don't think the sound's going through on Zoom, but people can check it out on the Lifeblood page. I think we share this as well, so people.
You can't hear it?
No, you can't hear it.
Oh, can't.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Oh, sorry about that. It's coming through mine. Can you hear it at all?
Nah.
No. All right.
Bit,
Sorry.
Like little, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll have to. I don't know why that's not happening. But because it's embedded in. But anyway, you can have a look at it online.
Yeah.
At Lifeblood, and it's incredible. It really does sum up what we do. So apologies for that. Okay, so I will move on to the next slide. So, Lifeblood teams. I am a part of the regional partnerships team, and we have a program called Lifeblood Teams, where we have organisations like Tasca that come on board and help us to encourage other people and inspire people within the organisation to become blood donors. It's a social responsibility program, really. And as you can see, I've just included a snapshot there of the Facebook post that you did. So if you have anyone who would like to join the Tasca team, please go onto Lifeblood and join. Otherwise, you might be interested in creating your own team. We have hundreds of teams, all different organisations, and it's really just about bringing people together and encouraging people and inspiring them, particularly during, this lockdown, or what we had, a lockdown period. And if you're ever interested in doing a presentation like this to your work colleagues, I'm not sure who's in the audience, or to your organisation, please let me know. I'm more than happy to give you a bit more information. So we still need your support, because the need for blood never stops. We know that blood only lasts 42 days, so there's a continual need. We need 29,000 donations every year, which is pretty incredible. And with the cold and flu season coming up, it becomes even more important. So as champions, we need to try and encourage people, if they can, to come on board and become blood donors, or to champion other people to inspire them. Now, there is a video here for convalescent plasma. You've probably heard a little bit about it. I've actually put it, you can go onto Facebook, onto YouTube and put in convalescent plasma, and you'll be able to see the video by Dr. James Daly. Where so far we've had around 340 convalescent plasma donations made since May. So that's essentially people that have recovered from coronavirus. We ask them to volunteer and to check and see if they've got the antibodies. And with all these collections, we'll actually be doing clinical trials to see if there's any benefit in that. But please visit the website, because I have got it queued, but the sound may not come through. And that's all I really have. Again, thank you. 1.5 million donations is pretty incredible. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to take any. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing my screen, Sam.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right.
I have a question for Ellie.
Okay.
Who's that?
This is Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Who is
Yes.
part of TASCA as well. I do understand that blood donations are important, but I'm only trying to figure out how important is plasma donations for you? I mean, is there, so if I can say in 1 week, what would you said 29,000 blood donations you need a week. That's just 29,000 blood donations, or is that 29,000 blood and plasma donations together?
That's 29,000 donations. Now, what we actually need changes every day. So we have an inventory, and depending what the demand is, will determine what we collect. So once upon a time, we used to just collect everything, anything. But now we're a lot more strategic because we don't want to waste. So if you're a donor, you may have a whole blood appointment, but then when you come into the donor centre, they may say, look, we actually need your plasma with that particular blood group. The other thing is with plasma, it is a big focus for us, as I said, because it does make the 18 different life-saving products, like tetanus injections, etc. And we do use a lot for burns victims. There's a whole range. And if you want more information, you can go onto our website. But yeah, more often than not, we will ask you to do a plasma donation, and we can freeze plasma as well. Whereas whole blood only lasts for 42 days. But yeah, it depends on what the need is at the time.
I only asked that question because I mean, in the past, I've organized some blood groups to go and donate together. And I do have a couple of friends who are a bit apprehensive about using a plasma donation or doing a plasma donation because they don't like the whole idea of a machine taking their blood away and putting it back. But I just want to go on record to say that it is safe and it is good to do it. There's nothing wrong with it. So would you say the same? It is really safe?
Yes, definitely. We've introduced new machines. It's been a change this year. And so the quality of the actual plasma is better, and also the experience for the donor. So it's like it kind of filters your blood. It takes a little bit longer. It's the same process, same needle. The recovery can be better because you're having your red cells returned to you. But it just takes longer because we need to take a greater portion of blood to get the same volume of plasma. But it's completely safe, It just takes a little bit longer. And it all, the nurses, our priority is everybody's safety. That's our number one priority. So the nurses will assess the veins, for example, and if they feel as though you're not suited to plasma donation, we won't encourage it. If you're a smaller frame, we won't encourage it. So yeah, thank you. And hopefully we can organise a few group bookings at TASCA to come in and donate in the winter.
Absolutely, we should do that. I'm on to it.
Yep. Okay, good. You know who I am now.
Yes, I do. Thanks, Ellie, for that.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks, Ellie, for that. Thanks for the presentation. I think we'll now move on to Julia. So Julia's from Haemophilia Foundation Victoria, and she'll talk a little bit about what the foundation does about bleeding disorders. And then she also introduced Shauna, who is a patient living with a bleeding disorder known as von Willebrand's disease. Yeah, so thanks, Julia. I'll turn it to you.
Okay, well, yes, can you see me? Yep. Okay, lovely. So very glad to be part of this event and acknowledge the incredible work of Lifeblood. There's a deep respect and appreciation for Lifeblood and the NBA in our community. So Haemophilia Foundation Australia is our national body. They do an incredible job around advocacy and lobbying for better treatments and health outcomes for those with bleeding disorders within our community on a national level, and also extensive work around health promotion and education. I work for HFV, which is Haemophilia Foundation Victoria, and it's the state body providing peer support. So there's a lot of focus on connecting, supporting, empowering our community. So we do this through community events, camps, retreats, regional visits, and HFA and all the state bodies, foundations around Australia, we work together to create essentially a stronger voice for our bleeding disorders community. So just a bit about haemophilia and von Willebrand's. People with haemophilia don't have enough factor 8 or 9 in their blood, so they need treatment with replacement clotting factor. There's a lot of bleeding into joints and muscles, and they become very, very painful and can lead on to arthritis and mobility issues. And the bleeding, of course, can be life-threatening. Von Willebrand's, it's not enough von Willebrand factor in the blood, or it doesn't work properly. People require treatment using plasma-derived factor 8, which contains the von Willebrand's factor. So you'll hear from Shauna a little bit later on, and she'll explain a bit about that. So both haemophilia and von Willebrand's are genetic conditions. There are other rarer factor deficiencies, so factor 2 to 13, and they require different treatments, although some have little or no treatment available, but some people may require fresh frozen plasma. With the demographics, we've got about 2,800 people in Australia with different severities of haemophilia. So, and about 1,000 of those require regular clotting factor. And there's 2,200 people with von Willebrand's disease, and they require replacement therapy quite regularly or on more specific reasons for surgery. So a bit of history. So prior to the 1950s, it was whole blood treatment. So that was a huge volume of blood that was required to get the factor that they required out of that. So in the 1950s, it went on to fresh frozen plasma. So the plasma was separated from the blood. And then in the 1960s, it was cryoprecipitate. So that's still made from fresh frozen plasma, but it's more of a refined process. And then the 70s saw the plasma-derived factor concentrates. In the 1980s, sadly, the bloodborne viruses impacted our community very heavily. So we had a lot of people pass away from HIV and a lot of people affected by Hep C. Since then, Hep C, we have very few people in our community with Hep C. That there is a treatment that has cured those people, and the treatment for HIV is very effective now. So in the 1990s, recombinant came to market, so that's a synthetic treatment. It became available to children in 1994, and then there was a lot of lobbying, and there was then funding available in 2004 for adults. So today, most of the people in our community with haemophilia do use recombinant. However, for those with von Willebrand's, other factor deficiencies, they still require products made from plasma. So our relationship with Lifeblood remains very important and lasting. There are some complications. People can develop antibodies to their treatment products. So their blood doesn't clot even with those treatments. So special therapies are required in those cases. For the future, look, we're in a significant period of change. We've got some new therapies available. So extended half-life products are now available. So this means that those with haemophilia who might be treating 2 or 3 times a week. That may change to only once a week, fortnightly or monthly, and that's an intravenous treatment that they're currently have been doing for 2 or 3 times a week. So that's a huge improvement to the quality of life. So while less people are really relying on plasma products for their haemophilia as they did, say, 10 to 15 years ago, it is certainly still the treatment for choice for people with von Willebrand's and the other rare factor deficiencies. So as foundations, HFA and HFE and all the other foundations around Australia, we absolutely do what we can to support blood donations and recognise, the incredible work of Lifeblood, the MBA, in ensuring treatment not only for our bleeding disorders community, but obviously the general community. So I hope that's given you a bit of an overview on what we do and our community. So hopefully, I'm not sure, Sam, is Shauna online yet?
Yeah, Shauna's online.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I just can't see.
we can put her on now. Let me unmute Shauna. Hi, Shauna.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me along today. To lead on from what Julie said, I'm heavily reliant on plasma products. It takes about 75 plasma donations to make a week's worth of my medication. So there's definitely a high need in our community for plasma donations. To give you a bit of a background, I was born with type 3 von Willebrand's disease. There's no family history within my family, so I was diagnosed at about 1 year old. Once I started learning to walk and knocking myself about, it became quite apparent that there was something going on. I was covered in bruises and not having a great time. So we went down the route of treating on demand for me. So I only needed plasma infusions if I had surgery or if I had an acute injury. But as I got a bit older, from recurring joint bleeds, I've started to develop arthritis in some of my joints. So we moved on to a prophylactic regime. So as I said, I'm now having 3 infusions a week, and that keeps me on top of things and prevents any bleeding, and just ensures that my quality of life is a lot greater. To give an idea of some of the things that I experience without plasma infusions, I'd have severe joint bleeds, which would limit my mobility. I'd be on crutches or unable to walk, and I'd have severe nosebleeds quite frequently, and a lot of internal bleeding in some of my organs as well. Things like spontaneous bladder bleeds and obviously quite heavy menstruation as well as a woman. So now that I'm on plasma infusions 3 times a week, I don't experience any of these things, just very mild bleeding, if anything. And I'll also need additional care if I do have any surgeries or injuries caused by something else. So to lead on from that, what Julie said, we really value the work that Lifeblood do. It's just so beneficial. I guess I've got a unique experience because I went from on-demand to a prophylactic treatment. A lot of people my age have been on a prophylactic treatment for their whole lives, so they're unable to value what it's like with and without those products. So I really can't stress enough what a difference it makes in my life. It means that I can go about my day normally. I can exercise, I can keep fit, I can just do anything that I like. Whereas before, growing up, I couldn't play any sports. I'd often be very anemic from all of the blood loss, so my iron levels were always very low. I was quite fatigued, which obviously leads to issues in itself. I know I haven't really spoken on this kind of forum before, so I'm not sure on the TSAC side if you guys have any questions about von Willebrand's disease and what that's like. But I'm happy to take anything on board.
Thank you, Shauna. Thanks for that. Let's see if we have any questions.
Sorry, Sam, I didn't hear you there.
Sorry, no, yeah, thank you. Just check if there are any questions out there.
Shauna, I have a question for Shauna if she can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah, Shauna, my name's Robin. I have a daughter with thalassaemia and also a wife who's got a sickle cell anemia, which is another blood disorder. I have never heard of your experience. I mean, I've never heard of the von Willebrand disease till now. So thank you for sharing that experience. I guess my question is, when you I mean, now that you've come to a stage where you are getting these transfusions only on demand, how long does it take in a month for all of this to take place? Like, for example, if a month's worth 4 weeks, do you spend a week worth of treatments and then the remaining 3 weeks you just get on with your life? Is that how it is, or?
No, unfortunately not. So I'll have a treatment 3 times a week or every second day. However, I can do this at home. So it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes from start to finish to administer my factor. But there's also a bit of prep time, making sure I'm hydrated and things like that. I am unable to access long-acting treatment, so it's every second day for me for now, but the benefits far outweigh that inconvenience.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks, Shauna. I mean, it takes a lot for people to come out and talk about it, so I do appreciate it, because I do understand where you're coming from, because I have similar experiences with my daughter as well. So thanks for that. That's all I wanted to know.
No problem. I think it's really important to get out there and talk about how much of a difference plasma donations make in our lives, to encourage people to get out there and donate.
That is so true. I have thalassaemia myself, and I can only donate plasma, nothing else. So you have given me enough reason to do that again and again. So I do that. I will do that.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, Shauna.
Thanks, Shauna.
I'm happy to expand on anything else that anyone would like to know. Like I said, I'm not really sure on what you'd like to know more about, but more than happy to speak openly about certain experiences or anything else.
Shauna, has it affected your work?
It has in the past, but mostly through my employers being uneducated about my bleeding disorder. So I think on the surface, when you talk about the things that can happen, it does sound quite confronting to some people, and they expect that it's going to impact my day-to-day work a lot more than it actually will. So for me, it's been really important to be open with my employers about what I go through and what support I do need, so that if anything does happen, they're able to help me.
Yeah.
But as far as, I guess really, it hasn't impacted me, but things like certain careers that you wouldn't be able to enter into, things like say working in the army or something like that, I don't think I'd pass the medical, but from my perspective, it hasn't limited me at all.
Okay. And how often would you go into the hospital these days? Is it?
It's pretty rare now that I'm having regular infusions. I'll probably only go in for my 6 monthly checkup.
Yep.
And maybe once or twice on top of that. But luckily we have a really great treatment centre here in Canberra, so there's always lots of support if I need it.
Lovely.
Sean, a question from me as well. In terms of when you were growing up with it as a child and through school, were there any big challenges during that period of when you were growing up?
I think I was quite lucky. My sister also has type 3 von Willebrand, so we grew up with going through similar experiences. So we were able to bounce off each other a bit, but as well, it made it quite normal in our house. So we didn't really think about how we were missing out. It was just, that was the way it was, and we got on with it. So my parents were also very open to allowing us to try as much as we could and get involved in things that we wanted to do. Like we both did dance because we couldn't play sports, like that. And they were also, I guess the challenges that we talk about with our employers goes back to school as well. So making sure your teachers are educated on how to support you if you go through any challenges. So that was something that my parents had to focus on as well, making sure that our teachers and the wider school community were able to provide support if they needed to.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Shauna. Thanks for sharing your experience and joining our morning tea.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So if there's any more questions, we'll just record them and then we can ask you later on at the end.
I'd just like to say, look, it's wonderful to hear your story. It's so powerful, you know, and anyone who can speak out, they're just true advocates, you know, and you've done an amazing job. So thanks for sharing.
No problem. That's my small way of giving back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shauna. Okay, so now we'll move on to Thalassaemia Sickle Cell Australia. So that's TASCA. So that's who I work for. So I'm the Health Promotion Officer for TASCA. And Thalassaemia Sickle Cell Disease is a group of hemoglobin disorders where patients who have it cannot produce enough or the right amount of hemoglobin. So later on, we'll hear from Robin. And so Robin has a daughter who has thalassaemia. And so how thalassaemia affects a person? Basically, it's so for thalassaemia, patients don't produce enough red blood cells, so they'll require transfusions as often as every 2 to 3 weeks, and that can go for the rest of their lives. And without these transfusions, patients will suffer from anemia, so tiredness and illness from the lack of red blood cells. And a lot of patients who didn't receive transfusions in the past couldn't live past even childhood. So definitely blood donations are very valuable and life-saving, life-giving for patients living with these conditions. So at Thalassaemia Sickle Cell Australia, mostly we work with patients to provide peer support and to provide information for them if they need. And we also work with Lifeblood to encourage people to donate blood because it's so important. And we recognize how vital it is for patients to live long and healthy lives because of this wonderful gift. So I'll pass it on to Robin, and he'll talk a little bit about his experience with blood donations and what it means to him and his family. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. It has been a very informative session for me, especially because blood donations are very important in my family. Because I'll start again. I have a daughter. She's 7, and she's got a condition called thalassaemia major. She goes into hospital every 3 weeks to get a blood transfusion, and my wife's got another condition called sickle cell anemia, and she cannot get blood donation. She cannot get blood products because of a different condition, which is also related to one of the hemophilia issues. So in my world, blood donations are very important for me. Without a blood donation, my daughter cannot survive because that is very important for her to go on with her regular life. She's been getting blood donations, she's been getting transfusions ever since she was 2. And we go in once a month or twice a month or more than that. I've lost count now because there's just so many appointments that go along with it. But blood donations are extremely important for us because unless and until there's a blood donation, they cannot match her blood type and then they cannot give her blood. In the past, I've been associated with the TASCA or Thalassaemia and Sickle Cell Australia, and even now I'm a part of it. And what I'm trying to do as a member is try and get some of my friends together whenever they can. Unfortunately, due to the present scenario, we can't coordinate such events, but planning to get back onto it is to get a couple of them into the city and I promise them lunch, which is my way of saying thanks. And I think most of my friends, they are happy with that, and they just come along and we have a chat, we sit down, and we talk about most of the issues openly, and they actually know what they're giving blood for. So one of the main things which I'm trying to advocate is talk about the condition more often, because the more we talk about it, like for example, Shauna telling us about her experience. I mean, that's something which I think is really beautiful, because once I get to know what people go through, I'll at least know what I'm giving my blood for. Because a lot of my friends, when I've seen, or not even friends, acquaintances, and people who come out to give blood, they're always confused about what their blood is being used for, and they're not really sure. I've met people who want to give blood because they just want to lose weight. I've seen people who do that as well. They not, when I say weight, lose cholesterol in their blood and things like that. But it really gives me something to go about now with some of the lovely presentations by Lifeblood today by Ellie, just to show people where these blood donations go. Because frankly, my daughter, even though she goes in, she now openly talks about it in class. She talks about how she goes into hospital, and she is finding a little bit of comfort in knowing that there are similar patients in and around her who have the same condition. When we go into hospital, there are at least 8 to 10 kids who come in at the same time to actually get transfusions, and they've made a little group, and they made a little friendship going on there, and I think it gives her more comfort that there are other people in the same boat. So, talking about blood donations is important. So I think she started understanding it as well. And even I'm trying to get my head around things, because there's quite a lot to this condition. And I've been asking questions around the world with regards to other conditions with blood disorders, because the more we know and the more we advocate for, things can get better. So yeah, so that's basically what I was trying to say today is blood donation is important. We're going to try and do exactly that. I'm trying to see if I can, drum up some support for some blood drives, and yeah, we can take it from there. And unfortunately, because I have Thalassaemia, I can't give full blood, or the blood bank doesn't want my blood, but they do like my plasma, so I'd like to do that. So I'll try and stick to that. But yeah, that's what my experience is. So I'd just like to close by saying thanks for the opportunity. And if you have any questions, whatever it is, please do ask, and I'll be happy to answer them. So thanks, Sam.
All right. Yeah, I think you touched on a very good point. Not everyone's able to give blood or even plasma. So what do you think will be the best way for people to help out if they aren't able to donate?
If they're unable to donate blood or plasma, I would love to have their time. If they can donate a little bit of time, we can sit down with them and explain the situation to them. And at least if we can give them the information about these conditions, they will at least go and advocate at least a bit further with that information, because it's either their time or their plasma. Or I mean, if they can give blood, fantastic. If they can give plasma, fantastic. If they can't, at least if they can spend a little bit of time with us, we'll at least talk to them about it and raise awareness.
Maybe I'll open the question up to Julia and Elliot. So in terms of, from your perspective, what are the best kind of things that people can do if they really can't give blood? Because a lot of people want to help out, but there's so many prerequisites to keep our blood supply safe. So what are things that people can do?
Sam, if you could. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I've been dropping in and out through the presentation because of the connection, but yeah, I think what you said is really important. Not everyone can or wants to. Only 1 in 30 people statistically donate, but yet 1 in 3 people will need a blood product in their lifetime. So it's really important that we continue the conversation, that we hold events like this. That's part of my job with regional partnership, is reaching out to organisations, whether they're community groups, big businesses, and through our Lifeblood's Teams program to try and encourage people to make people aware and to inspire people to become blood donors and to continue giving, because we need those 29,000 donations every week. So if people can actually commit to giving blood, if they can, 2 or 3 times a year, that's amazing. But yeah, it's just putting it front of mind and listening to people's stories and putting a face to what we do. So I'm more than happy to help Robin to see how we can do that, whether it's through a blood drive. We have lots of challenges going on with Lifeblood teams at the moment. We have an emergency services challenge, football netball challenge, we have council challenges, we have legal service blood drive. So it's all just a way of connecting with people, try and get as many people as we can on board, because as I said, with only 1 in 30, it's a lot of effort for a little reward, but it's not because the people don't want to donate. There's a variety of reasons why they can't, and we have to be mindful of that. So yeah, I'm here to help. So Robin, I expect you to get in contact with me, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Absolutely, Ellie. That's on my plan.
Great.
Can you hear me? Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say to Robin that with our organisation, we've got quite a strong, well, we've got a very strong peer support network. So the young people have opportunities to connect, and they become great advocates for our organisation. So, you know, that's another way, if you can find ways through camps or community camps and bringing those people together, giving them that voice. You know, as you said, your daughter goes in and she sees other kids in the hospital, to see them, and we're a similar kind of situation where people don't connect they don't even connect in a hospital setting, so they only connect out, you know, in the community with us, and to have that opportunity to see other kids with haemophilia or von Willebrand's, they get confidence, and they do become true advocates for us. So, you know, that's just another way. It's a longer road, but it's certainly valuable and very valuable for them, you know, growing up.
Absolutely, Julia. I agree with that, because with thalassemia as well, there's been a stigma attached to it of not talking about it. And I guess one of the reasons why we have advocates trying to talk about it is just to get that people to come out of their shell and then just talk about it, because there are other people in the similar situation as them. So that's a very wonderful point, Julia. I'll definitely look into that, or me and the team will definitely look into it.
Lovely.
So yeah, if anyone has any other questions for Robin or for Shauna, for Julie or for Ellie, feel free to ask them now, and we can answer them as well as we can. Let me just check on Facebook.
Actually, Ellie, I do have a question, which is probably a very ignorant question, but I've always been under the impression that I can't donate blood because of my because I'm English, and you know, quotes for Jakob, and my husband's the same. So can I donate plasma? I know Robin was saying he can do plasma, but not blood. No, I didn't think that was the case. I can't.
No, at this stage, no. There's still no definitive test for the what we call the mad cow. Unless we do a brain biopsy, and we don't want to do that on you.
No.
So at this stage, unfortunately, no. But anyone who would like to see if they're eligible, we do have an eligibility quiz online.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because it does change, and things do get reviewed. So it's good to check and see. But in your case, at this stage, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep checking back.
Yeah. Don't worry, if it ever becomes available, we will be out.
I know you'll promote it well.
As you know, I said before, only 1 in 30 donate, and it could be precisely for that reason.
Yeah.
That they can't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate at this point.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just want to say one statement, which is one of the reasons why, which I actually should have said, is I've been in touch with a lot of these thalassemia committees around the globe. And I must say that the Australian Lifeblood or the Red Cross is one of the safest and the most bankable blood supplies in the world, because it's so privileged to just live in a situation like this, because all around the globe with everything that's going on, it's just so fantastic to see a lot of people voluntarily coming and giving out blood. I've known people who have been giving blood ever since they were 15, and they're healthy, and the reason why they do it is because it just drives them to help people. So I mean, having Lifeblood, trying to scrutinize each and every application is one of the best things. Only, I mean, for everyone's good, that is definitely. But yeah, I do see where else coming from. Emily is coming from, that it's one of the safest blood products around the globe. So it's really fantastic to have them along.
Yeah, we should be very proud as Australians. We are a not-for-profit. We don't incentivise anyone to donate blood. We're very heavily controlled. And as you said, we should be really proud that we can supply Australia, meet Australia's demand. And even with the whole coronavirus, there's been no incidences, and safety is our #1 priority at Lifeblood for obviously the people that come in and donate, for the staff, and also most importantly for the patients that receive these life-giving donations. So that's a really good point.
We often get questions about tattoos and other eligibility issues. What's the deal with getting a tattoo and donating blood?
Yeah, look, there are, it doesn't mean you can never donate. There are certain periods that you would have to wait, whether it's 3 months or 4 months, depending on where the tattoo is, depending on how it was done, or whether it's a piercing, whether it's a medical treatment, if you have surgery or dental treatment. There's a variety of what we call deferrals. So that just means that you might need to wait 3 months, 6 months, or in the case of travel at the moment, that's continually changing, although we can't travel at the moment, but it's 28 days, but that does change. And because it's constantly changing, the best thing to do is to go onto the website, do the eligibility quiz, or even better, call 13 14 95 if you have a specific question about medication, because we do have a medical team that is there available to answer any sort of personal tricky questions if you're on a particular medication or dealing with a particular condition. So, yeah, we are very thorough. And then when you come in to donate, there are a series of questions as well. So again, we want to make sure that we are ensuring the safety of the donors. I noticed, Robin, before you said someone started donating at 15. Well, that's changed. For example, it used to be 16, but now it's 18. And that was reviewed to do with the iron levels and youth. And because we can meet the demand at the moment, we're trying to protect those younger people. But yeah, it does change all the time. It's constantly, we're under constant review and trying to make sure that we just look after Australia's blood supply.
So it's a good idea to do the quiz again if you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, and then if people ask you questions, you'll know. But it does change, so it's best to check online. And as I said, if it's something particular to you that's not online, please call the team, because we do have some medical stuff on hand to answer any questions.
I think we've got a question from Shauna as well. So here we go. She's got her hand up.
I had a question for Ellie. So I've noticed that particularly in online forums, people tend to take it quite personally if they don't meet the eligibility criteria for donating blood. So as someone that goes out and advocates for promoting blood donations, what's your advice on responding to these kind of people? Yeah,
really what I said before, that safety is our #1 concern. So if we do exclude you or defer you, it's for the safety of the donor and also of the patient. We are governed by the TGA, so we have to make sure that we follow the regulations, and really that is a #1 message that we give. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks.
Yeah, we've got a comment from Facebook from Lucinda. she says that her favorite part of giving blood is the text to say where it ended up. Do you want to elaborate a bit on that, on the text, Ellie?
What was that again? Sorry,
Her
I missed
favorite
it.
part of
Her
giving
favorite.
blood is the text that she gets about where the
Yes.
blood ends up. Yeah.
Yes. Good point. That's a really good point. So when you donate blood, you will get a text message. Not everybody gets a text. With whole blood you do, but not everyone gets the message every time. But it will tell you where your donation's actually gone. So it might have gone to the Royal Children's Hospital. So it's like a thank you text. And then it just tells you where your donation's gone. So that's been a really great initiative. That's been around probably for about 18 months to 2 years, maybe. Yeah, and it really does make you feel good, and you know that what you've done. And it's blood donations, unlike any other type of donation. It's not money. We can't make it. You know, and it's something that it's completely selfless, and it does leave you feeling as though you've done something really worthwhile. You know exactly where your donation's going. You know that your blood donation is actually going to help someone. Whereas when you donate money, you're not quite sure what's happening with it.
Yeah, that's great. How about in terms of wastage? Are there a lot of wastage in terms of donations, or are all donations usually used to be given to patients?
Yeah, as I said earlier, that's why we're very strategic in what we collect, and we're constantly monitoring that. We have a team that looks at that daily, hourly, to make sure that we don't waste. So sometimes people will come in expecting to donate, and we might say, look, we actually don't need your blood today because we can't freeze whole blood. It only lasts 42 days. So the inventory is really well controlled. And that's why we may direct them to do a plasma donation, because we can freeze that. So yeah, wastage is one of the biggest focuses for us. It's you know, it's a gift that people are giving, and we don't want to waste it. So we're very strategic in what we collect and when we collect it.
Awesome. I think those are all the questions we might have for today. But if people want more information, they can visit the Lifeblood website and Facebook.
Definitely. And if they want to jump on board a team and become an advocate, a champion, please reach out to me and I can help you do that. And we can see how we can create some momentum, whether it's a blood drive, a presentation, something on Facebook, whatever it is. We're always looking to recruit new donors.
Yeah. And Tasca actually has our own Lifeblood team. So if people want to join that, feel free to join.
Exactly.
Increase our numbers. We like to have these numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. And for Julia, if people want to know more about Haemophilia Foundation and how they can support your cause, what would be the best way to get more information?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just go to our website, which is www.hfe.org.au, so you can check all the information out there, or go to HFA's website, which is www.haemophilia.org.au. So you'd find all the information there.
Awesome. And for us, it's tasca.org.au, so tasca.org.au, or you can email us as well at info@tasca.org.au. So thanks, everyone. Thanks especially to Shauna and Robin for joining and telling us their awesome story and experience. And thank you for Ellie for joining us as well, giving us an update on Lifeblood. And thanks finally to Julia for her bit as well.
Thank you
very much. Thanks, Sam.